no.
Player A's turn. D7. Good shot. G2. Bad shot.
No.
Player B's turn. D6. Bad shot. Player A's turn. D8. Good shot. D9. Player A wins the game.
I am victorious!
Ugh. Jan won the game, and so because he beat me, he is victorious. And that's the next letter in our alphabet attribute series, the letter V. V is for victorious. God is victorious. That means that God has won. But what has God won? A game? No, not a game. God has won a war. Do you remember that God made the world to be absolutely perfect and wonderful? But sin came in and corrupted everything. Because sin is in the world and in our hearts, there is a war between good and evil. God, who is good, wants the world to be perfect again and wants us to love him. But sin, which is evil, is the reason bad things happen, and it will always end in death. We see sin in ourselves, don't we? We were made in God's image, and so we want to do good things, but the sin in us means that we sometimes think and do bad things. We can't be good all of the time. And it's worse than that, because it means that we don't love God like we should. The Bible says that we are God's enemies. The devil is God's enemy too. He doesn't want us to be friends with God, and he tries his best to make us doubt what God said. He wants us to think that God isn't good and that sin is better. But the Bible tells us that the devil is a liar and very crafty. He even tempted Jesus when he was alone and hungry in the desert, but Jesus didn't fall for his tricks. He used the Bible to prove that the devil was lying. And every time the devil tried to tempt him, Jesus remembered what God had said in the Bible. Jesus shows us how we can overcome the devil's lies too. All we have to do is trust what God says. Where? That's right, in the Bible.
Why don't you just...
No, God says.
You know, you could try...
No, God says.
Wouldn't it be great to...
No, God says. So, God's enemies are us and the devil, all because of sin. And what did I say that sin always leads to? That's right, death. And death is the final enemy of God. God didn't create death. He hates it. He wants us to live forever with him. So he came up with a plan to defeat sin and death and win the war once and for all. The plan was God was going to defeat death with death. Jesus was going to die. When Jesus died on the cross, all the punishment that we deserve for our sin was put on him. And he let it crush him. He chose to die in our place and take the whole weight of the war on himself. So, how did he win? Well, we know Jesus is almighty, and so death just couldn't hold him. He was too powerful for death to win, so he came back to life and he defeated death. He was victorious. He had won. The best thing is that Jesus said, "It is finished." That means the war is won. God is victorious. So even though people still die and there's pain and suffering and one day the world will be destroyed, that doesn't mean it's the end. Like Jesus, people will come back to life and live forever in a new perfect world. But he's only won the war for those who love and follow him. Are you on his side? Are you on team victory? If not, then you are on team sin. And there is no hope of life after death. If you are on team victory, then you are no longer God's enemy. It means we can be friends with God and live forever with him. Just like the song that we sing at church. Do you want to sing it with me? Okay, here we go. God showed us his love when Jesus died for us. While we were his enemies, God showed us his love. All we have to do is trust that is true and make the victorious God number one in our lives. Jesus promises he is coming back to take team victory to our amazing new home, where there will be no more pain, tears, or death. Wow, I can't wait. I hope you'll join Team Victory so I can see you there.